In today's episode, we are going to cover how to be a great guest when you are in the guesting role inside of a collaboration, whether you're guesting on, say, a podcast, or you're a guest inside someone's summit, or you're going to speak on stage, or be a guest blogger, or any number of ways that you can possibly be a guest. In our next video that comes out next week, we're going to cover how to be a great host. So the truth is, collaborations have never gone out of style. And in this day and age, with the way that so much information is vying for our attention, collaborations are still one of the top ways to get in front of a great audience that will really listen to you, really hear you, and also see you. It's one of the best ways to build up a super fan base of dedicated people who've built know, like, and trust with you. But doing collaborations is not done through magic. It actually takes a lot of work. And today I'm going to break down for you, as somebody who loves hosting other people, and I've been a guest in so many other spaces, I'm going to break down for you how to be a great guest so you get the maximum return on investment for your time, energy, and efforts. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If we have not met yet, I have a lot of new people around here. My name is Mary, and I am the host of the School of Moxie podcast, which you can listen to here on YouTube, and you can also find it on all of your favorite podcast apps. Today, I'm giving you another behind the scenes video, but it's not just for podcasting, although it has been inspired by all the recent activities with the School of Moxie podcast. This video is going to apply for when you're in a guesting situation, whether you're on a podcast, like my guests have been on a podcast with me, or if you've been a guest on a summit, you've been invited to participate in a speaking event. There's a lot of in-person events that are coming back into play as well. It could be any number of things. You could also be guesting as a guest blogger or on somebody else's Instagram Live. You might even be somebody who is providing a resource and a bundle offer in a passive type of collaboration. Whatever the collaboration is, there's so many different ways you could do it. You know when you're in a guesting role, and you also know when you're a host role. So this video is for when you're in the guesting role. When you are a guest, you are definitely going to want to get the maximum return on investment for your time and energy and your efforts. And listen, everybody's doing this together. The host and you as the guest are doing this to try to reach more people. But what we don't want to do as a guest is just to sort of sit back and wait for all the goodies to come to us, because that's actually not how you get your ROI when it comes to being a guest. One of the things I really want to help you with in this video this week is how to become a really great collaborative partner. Not just a guest, but a collaborative partner, because that is the thing that elevates you into a space where you get invited into spaces, you get access to better lists and better audiences, and it's by demonstrating through actions how to actually help a host elevate their platform. You get a lot of benefit in return, and it's how everybody continues to grow together. A rising tide lifts all ships. Before we get started with this, I'm going to invite you right now to smash that subscribe button below this video and click the thumbs up like button so that I know you want more of this type of content. It helps me keep this channel growing and also tells me a lot about the things that you want to see, so I can create more of it for you. If you really love what's happening here on this YouTube channel with me, then you are going to love my weekly email digests that come out every Saturday. You can tap the link that's in the show notes right below this video and subscribe for free. Every week, I build a huge window into the back end of my business for you and show you how I have built things over time through the strong use of systems. And because we are a group that loves energetics around here, I also include how we include our intuitive sides, and you get a free Tarot Akashic reading delivered right to your inbox every single week. So you can go to the video description right now and tap that link. It takes less than 30 seconds to do. You'll be all set up and ready to go. And then you can come back here and we're going to digest all the ways that you can become a super guest and be invited back to the really good collaborations. So believe it or not, but people like me who love to host things, we actually talk a lot behind the scenes in our private spaces because we need to support each other as we're building things. Now, the community gets small really fast, and you'd be amazed how many times Great guests get passed around and told, you really need to invite this person. Or people with a reputation for being poor guests get discussed as well, and you'll discover that they don't get invited to become guests quite so often. I'll be honest with you, as somebody who is a creator and somebody who enjoys being in the hosting capacity, I pay attention to the marketplace. I really watch other people's behaviors. I don't care how big the list is. I don't care how fancy somebody sounds or looks. I really look at what kind of behaviors do they engage in when it comes to their role as a guest. I can see when somebody clearly demonstrates that they know how to collaborate. They'll share things on social media, they'll put things into their email newsletters, and the really big important thing, they will hype up the other people who are also in the guest lineup alongside them without being asked to do it. Even when it's not their episode, they will generally show a generosity of spirit and a pattern of behavior that demonstrates that they are an expert guest and that they are worth collaborating with more deeply in the future. So if you're a little skeptical at this point, like, why would I do all that extra work? Well, let's break it down. Why would someone want to do all that extra work? And the answer is really quite simple. I'm going to bring this back first to the energetics that we love to deal with here at Sensible Woo. I mean, my business is called Sensible Woo for a reason. When I've seen people be super generous in the way she not only shows up for herself, but for the other people in the guest lineup, and I've seen this pattern play out so many times that it is not a coincidence and it's not magic. It is purely energetic. These generous guests always, and I do mean always, get the most traffic. They get the most referrals. They report back to me how many subscribers they get, and it's always more than everybody else. Over time, as I keep in touch with them, I also notice that they grow faster, and they grow bigger, and they grow more easily. They have a lot more support behind them, and they just magically sort of seem to shine online. And whenever you wonder, you look at somebody and say, why does she look so good online? I'll bet you she has a lot of really great generosity of spirit. So here are the patterns from great guests that honestly everybody really should do. But even if your host isn't explicitly asking you for this bullet list of things, it's something you really want to get acquainted with so that you can absorb them into the systems that you set up for yourself and your business to show up as a super guest. The first thing is to do a personal assessment. So this is where we're going to get really honest with ourselves. In this particular season that we're in at the moment, when you assess that for yourself, do you really truly have capacity to do the work of being a great guest? Can you give your time and your attention and your energy to this collaboration truly, honestly? If the answer is genuinely no, maybe you're in a really busy season, like maybe you're launching right now. That's actually not a great time to do a collaboration. Or maybe you are going on vacation and that's also not a great time to do collaboration. Whatever the thing is that is holding you back from doing the collaboration, and you know that the answer makes your reply a no, then coming to peace with that in your heart and being able to say, I need to pass right now, but I would really love to do something with you in the future, is a totally acceptable response. When you are able to engage fully with the world, you can then say yes to all the next things that are coming up and trust that the universe has your back and that the next collaboration coming down the pike is going to be exactly the right collaboration for you at the right time. The second thing you want to check in on is, are you ready to be seen and heard? So it's the visibility portion of all of this. This is where you have to assess your readiness factor. Like, are you just kind of new at this and feeling nervous? Newsflash, everyone feels nervous. It's totally normal to feel nervous. And a lot of times doing collaborations where you're the guest with a great host can help ease your nerves because you're held in a really great space that's going to be supportive, and you're not going to be alone in those feelings, and you can ride through them into the benefits of being a great guest. If you discover that you're actually in fight, flight, or freeze, so your nervous system is totally dysregulated, then that is a great indication that now is not the time to be a good guest. I frequently hear from people, it's almost like a feeling of being paralyzed. If you kind of feel that way, like your breath catches in your throat, your heart kind of leaps out of your chest, and it's not in the just normal nerves kind of way, that's actually a really great indication that we can normalize the act of making an appointment with our therapist and getting some support from them. As they say, entrepreneurship is the best self-development course you will ever take. And so sometimes we need therapy in order to help us grow into the next level of our business. And if therapy is going to help you get through nerves that are so high, they're more than sort of the normal nervousness. It's really a nervous system dysregulation, then that is one of the best investments you can make in your business. I've seen people say yes to collaborations when what they really need is to talk to a therapist to help them through all of these emotional healing parts of their journey. And then when they do, they are able to show up as a guest in a way that is really quite magical. All right, our third thing, we're getting into systems. Have you set up systems to help yourself promote the collaboration that you're doing? To simplify it, let's just say you're being a podcast guest. Since I've been launching a podcast and it's just in my space right now, it's a really easy one to work with. So it's really common to say yes to being a guest on someone's podcast because you want more eyeballs on your brand and on your business. And that is a totally valid and expected response and totally normal. But this isn't delivered through magic. So we're not going to become a guest and then just magically get traffic. The benefits of being the guest is actually done through really hard work. And that work will not always be explicitly laid out by your host. Now, I'm hoping that I can help people become better hosts as well, which is why we'll have the second video to accompany this video next week. And that will be all about how to be a really great host. When you have a great host, a host will set you up for success. But sometimes a host doesn't always have all the skills. And so sometimes you have to be able to put on your super guest role and do a few things yourself. I actually find at this stage of having your systems in place to share your participation in the collaboration tells me everything as a host of what I need to know about you in terms of your stage of business. It doesn't matter how big your list is, your actions will say everything. So here is my list for you on the ways that you can be a super guest, even if your host doesn't ask for it. First, we're going to share things on social media, which is pretty standard and pretty expected, but to do it well shows a sign of strong systems and it shows that you're ready to show up. When your featured episode comes out or whatever else it is that you are collaborating on, when that thing gets released, you are ready to share it on your best social channels on the day of the release. Not a week from the release, not a month from the release, but the day of the release. Super guests will start creating buzz before the release date to prepare their audiences to hear more about it so they can help drive traffic. Something else super guests also do is they will continue to share a little bit about the episode after it releases to catch the stragglers. There is typically a 7-day period. So the release date is day 1, and then 7 days out within those first 7 days is a really critical time for your host and for you as a guest. The more traffic you can drive during that 7-day period, it means that you will have more visibility and it will also help the visibility of the overall project that you are part of. The second super guest move is to share the information about other people who are guesting alongside you. It doesn't mean you have to share every single thing. We're not trying to become a PR agency for this person's podcast or for their summit or for their blog or whatever the thing is. But reposting some of your favorite things that the host has shared is a great way to show your support and also to show that you are paying attention and you are actively participating in the experience. It gives you a way to publicly celebrate your participation, and that generosity of spirit that you're demonstrating goes a long way for other people to see what kind of an entrepreneur you are. Are you somebody who cares? If you care enough about another guest, you're definitely going to care about your clients. The third thing super guests do is they share their involvement as a guest with their email list. Now, if you aren't in the habit yet of emailing your list regularly, take this video right now as a big sign from the universe that now is the time to start practicing and building the habit of doing this. Remember that your client list wants to know more about you. There's a reason why they develop know, like, and trust with you, and your email list is a great way for them to continue doing that. However, if they are not prepared to hear from you, it's going to be really, really hard for them to actually take action when you say, hey, guess what? My episode dropped. They're going to be less likely to listen. They're not going to hear your expertise, and you're not going to be able to position yourself within your hot leads to let them know that you really know what you're talking about. The fourth thing that super guests also do is they share their collaboration in their community spaces. Memberships and programs typically have discussion spaces for members to come in, ask questions, and celebrate their wins. So even though they're private spaces, if the community encourages you to celebrate your wins, Sharing your podcast episode or sharing the blog that you've been featured on is a fantastic way to celebrate your expertise and position yourself as somebody with authority who's been invited into another space to share that out in the world. Especially in these community spaces where you get a lot of great referral partners, sometimes even clients, these are the people who will see your activity as a sign of growth, and it will enable them to move further down the path of decision making into doing work with you in the future. This next super guest move is something that I really love, and I see very few people do it. It is that if you are trying to pitch somebody, or you're trying to make sure you get somebody's attention, sending them a one-on-one email to celebrate that your episode has come out is a serious boss move as a CEO. It shows that you're confident. It shows that you have done actual work. And instead of just saying, I can do this, you're demonstrating it in somebody else's community and platform. So now they have real evidence of you being able to do the same thing with them. You'd be amazed at how much hosts need to see evidence of your ability to hold up your own, not just to say that you can, but to prove that you can. And by sharing your episode with them, it gives you a chance to demonstrate your ability and elevate your position. The next set of systems that we want to make sure are in place are your systems of receiving. Remember that the universe only gives you what you can handle. So if you're not set up to actually receive all of the traffic and all of the leads and all of the subscribers, you're not going to get the benefit from it, and it's going to fall kind of flat. This is Systems 101. This is a step that we've been doing in the incubator here at Sensible Woo for years. Are you set up to receive email addresses and subscribers? Are you actually messaging them on the regular so that you're nurturing that list and they are warm and active and ready for you? Are you set up on social media online so you're ready and able to engage in the comments with other people and develop relationships through those comments? And all of this is under the umbrella of visibility. We're talking about being visible, not perfect, but visible, so that you can show up big and bright in the way that you want to the capacity that you're able to, and feel really good about it. Being visible is not just lurking or being present. It is being actively engaged with the world. And those things encompass the systems that allow us to show up in the world and grow our businesses in front of other people and develop relationships so that those relationships become clients and collaborators. I have to tell you, the most super guest power move I've seen so far has happened with a guest in the first season of the School of Moxie podcast. She's used her guest spot in my podcast as an opportunity to practice and test out paid traffic related to her episode. I'm not paying for her traffic, and I never asked her to pay for traffic. She decided to take it upon herself as somebody who had a really great piece of content that's hosted in somebody else's space, which raises her authority as the guest, to put that out into the world through paid channels so that she could generate more traffic, not only to her brand, but also to the podcast. Not only do I appreciate that, but it also elevates her greatly inside of her niche, because now she is that much more visible. Let me tell you, as a host, this super boss move as a CEO makes me want to book her in any collaborative aspect in the future for anything. This is somebody who understands collaborations, not just for herself, but also for the greater good, because a rising tide lifts all ships. It shows that she is able to help elevate other people in addition to herself. And I'll tell you, remember the energetics from our lesson before? This kind of behavior is the thing that reaps multiple times return for the person who's engaging in the behavior. Now, you don't have to pay for traffic in order to become a super guest, but this is a really great example of somebody who went all the way to the other end of the spectrum and really elevated her position as a guest. I have seen over the years people with tiny little audiences who do great engagement, and they've had incredible growth by being a guest on one of my summits in the past, or being a guest speaker in one of my speaker series, and it's been really amazing to watch that happen. Conversely, I've also had people come into my space who have really large followings, and they have tanked, face planted in the world of traffic, because they just thought that their reputation would carry it forward and that everybody should be grateful that they showed up. But the truth is, in this day and age, as of today when I'm recording this video, the marketplace is so much savvier than it was a year ago, and the year before that, and the year before that. And that means that guests have to act like experts no matter what level you are in your business. And it also means that hosts are always going to do things differently. So you as a guest need to show up with your systems firmly in place so you're ready to show up in your fullest and truest capacity. Remember, in the second part of this 2-part video series, I'm going to go into what makes for a really great host. So if you want to be just a guest, I also encourage you to watch that video next week, because then you'll start to look for signs that show you a host is a really great host. But for now, I just want to make sure that you as a guest know how you can evaluate for yourself how you want to show up as a really great super guest. How do you really want to show up and be seen? Obviously, social media is super common now these days, but I've also seen really great super guests do things like write dedicated blog posts before or after the fact, simply because they have a lot of extra thoughts and they want to use it as additional lead gen material, as a companion piece to go along with their episode. Or I've also seen super guests send dedicated emails, not just one, but multiple, to help break down their experiences and their thoughts and to really generate some buzz with the people who know, like, and trust them the most. Now, as a guest, if you do end up in a situation where the host is not really a great host, or they're just really new at it and they don't know what they don't know, which happens all the time, chances are they're probably not giving you a whole lot of material to work with, and that's actually okay. But this is where you and your banging systems in your business are going to come into play. You're going to be able to take your strong systems and do everything from create a simple graphic just because you need it, to creating some copy so you can put it into your social post, or to create an email so that you can drive traffic to the episode you worked so hard to show up for. These actions can seem small, but they're actually really huge, and they reap really large rewards for you. The last thing you want to do is just to sit back and say, oh, well, I guess it didn't work. I guess I'm not going to do anything. If nobody does any effort, then you're going to end up with a lot of wasted time, energy, and effort. And now you're guaranteeing that your ROI on your participation in that collaboration is definitely a dud. As a superhost, I feel that in an ideal world, every guest should have their graphics and any associated material to help share their episode at least 24 hours in advance. The host has also communicated with you excellently leading up to the release date of your episode, so you know when it's coming and you know what it's about, and you're able to show up big and bright for them too. But this doesn't always happen. So again, this is where your systems show up big and bright. When you have your system set up to collaborate well and operate well, you will find that throwing together your materials so that you can tell your audience what is happening in your world, it doesn't take a lot of extra energy. It does not feel like a big, heavy lift, and it's pretty easy to do. Now, if you're in this situation and you feel like this is not enjoyable, or if your host is really organized and giving you all the collateral and you're also feeling like this is really hard, I don't like this, this is really not enjoyable, that is a huge red flag, bright neon flashing sign that your systems need a lot of TLC from you. Systems are not scary. They're actually pretty easy to do, and they're so simple that once you see them, you kind of can't unsee them. I break them down for you every week in my weekly newsletter. Go to the video description below this video and tap the link to subscribe to my weekly free newsletter. And in there, we also cover the energetics of how all this feels for you and how to work through all of that energy. And you'll get a free tarot and Akashic reading exclusively for your business every week in that email. Between the sensible side and the woo-woo side, all those things are going to come together to help you function so much better in your business this year. And until we get to next week's video about how to be a great host and all the benefits that come from that, I'm going to remind you one more time to click that subscribe button and click the thumbs up like button. Those two simple actions help support this channel in such a huge way and tell me that you want more of this content and I can continue making more of it for you. Until next time, be sensible, be woo, and most of all, be you.